our national office in DC accommodates a workforce of over 2,000. And like you said, we have about 100 remote properties across the country with another 1,000 workers. We do, most of AARP's core work can be performed remotely, and we were, I guess, to some extent surprised, but I think like everyone, so pleased with how we were able to quickly adapt to work.
And Debbie, you had literally just remodeled your entire office in a very significant way, right? I think you finished right before March of 2020.
Absolutely. We have about 500,000 square feet in DC in Penn Quarter, and completed a full gut of the building and complete redesign 14 months prior to March 13th. I think the date all of us remember very well. Yes. And so the one good thing is that in our design, our redesign, early on, it was funny as we were talking about, coming back and re-entering, and we're literally measuring workstation to workstation and how much space, and if we have that 6 feet or not. But I'm sure, like so many of you, we went through quite the journey filled with countless start, stop, shifts, and pivots. For 2 years. I mean, we completely revamped our HVAC systems. I mean, we had protocols. We've, established health screening tools and MOCA, you check in, but decisions about vaccination policies. The one thing I can say is that the collaboration that we had internally between my group, and it was, we sort of had a cross-functional team working on this, I want to say, every day for 2 years until we finally came back in the building and all sort of breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief. But between my team, HR, communications, IT, and legal, because of course we're always monitoring, our legal, obligation risks and all of that. So anyway, I would say that over the past 2 years, like everyone, we were also faced with countless decisions, and I can't think of a single decision that didn't change many times over from the beginning until now, except for one. And that was the decision to reunite our workforce with their pre-pandemic workplace, meaning the office. And I'll also say, not surprisingly, probably the most unpopular decision made by AARP. Similar to a lot of statistics that you've shared, we have a significant number of staff that don't ever want to come back to the office. But right, wrong, AARP believes in the necessity and magic of in-person interaction and collaboration, even if it can't easily be quantified. We grappled with what that would look like, and we did take into consideration, all of the knowledge and learnings that we had gained over those past 2 years, which include, of course, the success that we had working remotely. The personal value our workforce gained from remote work, the desire by many to never return to the office, and the challenges, quite honestly, that we thought that we could face collaborating in a hybrid workforce environment. And what I mean by that is that we clearly all knew how to collaborate really well in person prior to the pandemic. We quickly learned and were able to collaborate really well when everyone was remote. Our concern was, how prepared are we to effectively collaborate if some are remote and some are in person? You go back to those days when you were in the meeting and someone had to dial in and you forget that they're on the line, and you can't hear them well. So I think technology plays a role there, but also culturally. And again, ultimately, we decided to re-enter the workplace. With, however, an established hybrid schedule that everyone would follow. So here again, I think right or wrong, and I consider us to be in a test period, but 60 days ago, the remainder of the, or I should say the non-essential workforce, returned to the offices. what we decided is that we would work remotely and close our offices, which I remember being referred to as an ineffective solution, which again remains to be seen. But all of AARP works remotely on Fridays and Mondays, and everyone works in the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And like I said, that's what we've been doing for the last 60 days.
What happens on Wednesday? Is it optional Wednesday?
No, I'm sorry, Tuesday through Thursday.
Oh, Tuesday through Thursday. Okay.
Yes, yes. And again, we obviously grappled with what's the right, in light of the decision, right or wrong, that we believe in the spontaneous interaction, the collaboration, the innovation, and the creativity that comes from all of that. What's the right balance, recognizing all of the, considerations that I spoke to, and then layering on that unknown, or we didn't want to sabotage. We thought we would at least maybe sabotage our success if we all did the same things on the same days. And hence, like I said, right or wrong still remains to be seen. We decided on everyone goes remote 2 days, everyone's in on 3 days. I will add, as part of that process too, though, we did invite all staff to apply for full-time work or additional telecommute work days. And I think it was somewhere along the lines of about 50% who applied were approved for one or the other that they asked for. But I wasn't directly part of that approval process, but of course we came up with, the key criteria and questions that a manager and their executive team member and HR in collaboration would need to think through in order to determine if it did or didn't make sense. I would say that our overarching theme here, again, not sure yet if it's the right path, is we tried hard to establish, we wanted to establish some level of consistency so that we have sort of a baseline going forward. We know this is not the end of our story or journey, and we're in the process and grappling with, even right now, what is all the data and information that we're going to be able to need to even measure the results, the implications, and the impacts of all of our decisions. But as I said, that was the journey, and this is where we are today.
Now,
So
you mentioned we mentioned to me, Debbie, if you don't mind sharing, it was interesting that because you do have a pretty robust process to check into the office and the COVID related stuff that you've been doing and been very careful about. But that also gives you a lot more data. And can you share that data you were talking about of the unknowns of?
Yeah. So again, like I said, we're grappling with, and right now we're just grabbing onto whatever data we know that we have. But some of our initial learnings and findings are, we know because we all have to badge into the office. So we can identify the number of people that have badged in each day. And then we obviously have backed in, we know what our eligible population is for entry, meaning this is how many people that have a seat assignment that don't have an approved additional telecomute day on Tuesday. So what percentage of people are coming in? And we've then gone back to even payroll records, because we're trying to look at, well, you got vacation days, you've got sick time, but basically we are seeing a trend that is moving down. So our first week back, I think everyone said, okay, I got to get back to the office. That trend is slowly moving down a bit, but we have about between 20 to 30% of staff not accounted for. So when you look at the net eligible population after you subtract for sick and vacation leave, we only have between 70 and 80% of staff coming in. So we're not sure what that means, what we're going to do with that information, but it is a piece of information. And like I said, and a lot more for us to be looking at.